are going to dive a bit deeper into the topic, which is obviously about promotion and progression. It is always good to have chat open. So great that you're already in chat, because it's a really sharey kind of community. Lots of people share their input and ideas, and I'm going to ask for them quite a lot today. So get ready, everyone, with your curious brains and contributory approach. We share and learn together. That's pretty much it, really. Take half an hour, and then that's it. That's all it is. It's curious people who want to learn a bit more and share with each other so we can all get better. That's basically PodPlus. So I am going to get my screen up. Give me 1 second. And what I wanted to get a sense of, first of all, can you see my screen? Screen sharing is paused. That was slow. There we go. That's better. What I wanted to get a sense of, first of all, I'm going to make this anonymous, is for how many people is like progression on your mind at the moment, particularly like promotion, I would say. Hang on, let me move this around. Oh my God, everyone, here comes the postman. Regulars will know that the postman just randomly interrupts me. Morning. This happens all the time. I don't know what to do. Roll force. Just in a meeting. Right, he's just left it by the door. That's more shopping that I shouldn't be doing, everybody. Right, anyway, back to the point. I can't believe, I don't know what to say. Is it rude for me to say don't do that? I don't know. Okay, the question that I want to ask you that I'm going to get you to vote on is promotion on your mind at the moment? And you're going to stick a star on my screen. If yes, you're like, yeah, Helen, promotions are definitely on my mind. Or no, it's not something that I'm really kind of bothered about right now. So can you get a star on my screen and put it on either the yes, it's on my mind, or no, it's not kind of in kind of my focus at the moment. If you're thinking, how do I put stars on screens? Do not worry. I'll give you instructions and it will go in chat. So bye, postman. It's at the top of your screen, view options, and then annotate, and then stamp, and then star. So up the top, view options, then annotate, then stamp, and then star. Sarah will put that into the chat. Read the last message. Helen's awkward face when this happens. I don't know what to do. Also, I really like, you are all super lovely and super friendly, but I obviously do a lot, and it's not that other people aren't super lovely and super friendly, but I do a lot of sessions with like companies where that wouldn't be okay. Like I couldn't be like, hold your learning, company, because I've got a dress that's just got to the door. I don't know what to say. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about this, but I even put notes to say don't leave it at this door. We'll see. I have to have a chat, right? I've got to have a difficult conversation. Maybe we'll cover that on the podcast. How to have a difficult conversation with your postman. Let's see how it goes. Anyway, you don't have annotate. Kelly and Claire, do not worry. You can just let me know in chat. It's only so we can just generally get a bit of a sense of where everyone's at. So what would you say, everyone? I reckon 2/3 of us are maybe in the yes camp and a third in the no. And there's just some random stars on my screen in other places. So I would say for the majority of us, a promotion is sort of something that is on our mind at the moment. All good. Nothing wrong with that. Let me get rid of your stars and ask you another question. We talked about on the podcast 4 reasons why we think promotions are meaningful and motivating for people. So I'm going to say what the 4 reasons are, and then I'm going to get you to stick a star on the reason that relates to you. So particularly the people that were like, yes, promotions are on my mind at the moment. I kind of want to know what's your motivation. But if I've missed a motivation, then let me know in chat. So motivation number 1. I would like more money, please. That is why I want to get promoted, because I want more money in my bank. Well, whether it stays in your bank is another thing, but you want more money. Number 2, power, which I appreciate. People might be like, oh, Helen, it's not about power. So power, influence, maybe status, like that's part of the reason you want to get promoted. I know power can be an uncomfortable word, but it's going to be anonymous when you vote, so don't worry about it too much. If you want more power, just let me know. People, so you want to manage people, or maybe you already manage people, but you want to manage more people. Like you're very motivated, like promotion for you sort of equals more people to manage, and that's something that's meaningful to you. Or maybe it's about purpose, so it's more about sort of doing more of the work that you love. Again, I know purpose is a really big word. For some people that might mean like making a difference kind of purpose. It might just mean doing more of what you like doing and less of the work that you don't. So let me know which one of those relates to you. If it's more than one, you can stick more than 1 star on the screen. But if I've missed kind of a meaning or a motivator behind why you want to get promoted, let me know in chat. That is a good thing, Kat. That is definitely a miss. I would say that in chat. Do you know what? No, if learning, let's do this one. If I can't think of a P, can anyone think of a P that like is about learning? Like, I'm just gonna per learning, we'll just call it that for now, because I can't think of one, my brain's not working fast enough. But if anyone, if learning is a priority, then stick a star on that one. Is ticking 2 or 4 okay? Yes, Reg, it is. It is, though I wonder whether with a bit more reflection you could get to the priorities. So of course, if you're like, well, of course I want more money and more people and more power and more purpose, and of course I do. Maybe it might be worth reflecting on, but what do you want most? Because that's quite a lot of things to look for, and it might make it hard to identify the alternative if the promotion's not possible. One that maybe isn't there recognition. That's interesting. I'm regularly in meetings where I'm telling people senior to me what to do. I'd like to know that is acknowledged. That's interesting. I mean, I'm going to put recognition, but I would say the P is sort of like there's like a psychological thing going on, like the fact that you kind of want to that sort of need for recognition, maybe validation, who knows. But I'll just put recognition. So if you're like, yes, that is a thing for me, let me know. Just stick on the thing. What else have we got here? Anything I've missed? Any meanings I've missed? Love P learning. I mean, Lynn, it's a low bar, isn't it, for naming of things? But I can't think of a better one today. Personal development. Alessandra's in with a win. Yes, Alessandra, that's better than P learning. Personal development. Anything else? I'm going to stick sort of passion, Sam, under the purpose kind of bracket. Like, you want to do more of the work that you love. Anything else I've missed? Recognition. Yeah, I mean, what has happened to the quality of PodPlus today? It's the postman. He sent me on a random oh, that's interesting, Pollyanna. I don't want to feel left behind. So the reason, that's almost a bit like a peer comparison thing, right? Like you're almost going, I want to get promoted, because if I don't get promoted, I'm going to feel like I'm getting left behind. Interesting. What else? Anything else? At least the postman starts the P. Yeah. The reason I want to get promoted is so I don't have to be in this office anymore and get the postman interrupted me. Anyway, no more about the postman. I shan't mention that lovely man anymore. What can we see? What is common amongst us, everybody? What are our reasons that we want to be promoted? What do you reckon? Purpose and pay, do you think? Priorities for people. Again, no right or wrong here. The reason that I'm curious, but also to the point I made with Reg, really, that the more specific you can be about why you want a promotion, the more direct you can be about what else you can do with your development if a promotion isn't possible. So if you're like, do you know what, it is for more pay and it is for more purpose, and it's not possible at the moment, then we can then sort of unlock some alternatives. We're not saying you're never going to get promoted, but what we are saying is don't let that stand in the way of your development. So let's just understand a little bit as a group then. What if you want to get promoted at the moment? Like, what's the biggest barrier? Why isn't this happening for you right now? Head into chat for me and let me know. And again, if you want to message me privately, you totally can. You just find Helen Tupper, and then I'll kind of share your perspectives with the group, but I won't mention your name if you're like, my colleagues are in the Zoom, Helen. So Maria, flat structures. Yeah, I mean, we've got flat structures and amazing. It's a small company, so can totally relate to that. Like, I'm like, if my development's all about getting promoted, I can't really be promoted anymore. Amazing. If visibility, so like not being seen in the organization. No budget, Jab, and that's probably going to be more of a problem for people, I would say, over the next 12 months, that organisations probably are going to be under financial pressure with what's going on in the economic climate, and so that's probably more of a problem for more people. Claire, the positions aren't available, so you can see kind of the promotion that you want to get to, but that position isn't possible, maybe because someone sat in it. Like, I've had that before. You're like, I want that job, but you don't seem to be going anywhere. I think Sarah talked about that on the podcast. Managing the system, budget, visibility. So Alessandra agreeing there. There's a comment earlier. Lack of confidence. That's interesting, Mara. Feels like it's confrontation. Oh, Ruth, let me know more. So you want to get promoted, but it feels confrontational to put yourself forward for a promotion. Is that where we're going with that one? That's interesting. Monica, no opportunities at the moment. That's interesting, Reem. Only promotions are for management, which I do not particularly like, or I think I don't like. Self-aware and also interesting, because ladder-like structures, very sort of manager heavy in terms of what that promotion might look like, causes loads of problems because loads of people then get put into positions of management that don't really want to be a good manager. Like they're like, I've become a manager because I've been promoted, but I'm not prepared to like actually think about people individually with their development. And also to your point, Rima, not everybody wants to progress by becoming a manager. And actually, it was quite interesting in Microsoft. They had like 2 tracks you could go down with your promotion. So you could kind of go down more of a manager route, or like the IC. I think this is quite a technology thing, the individual contributor route. So you could still get promoted, but it was very specifically not into manager roles. I quite like that because I think in technology areas quite a lot of people were quite specialist and wanted to be promoted, but they didn't want to specialize in being a manager. Caroline, tiny team, same as us. Claire, fear of not being good enough, so the confidence gremlin coming up. So sometimes it's internal, some stuff seems to be cultural, some stuff seems to be structural. There are kind of themes that are coming up. Anything else? Confidence coming across, rigid structures. Okay, interesting. So there are, lots of barriers. Yes, Caroline says about individual contributor too. Yeah, I think I've only heard that term in techland. It's not something I saw like in FMCG or anything else. Okay, so basically lots of barriers. So we've got about 2/3 of us who are quite interested in getting promoted. The biggest motivators across this group seem to be pay and purpose. And basically, there are a lot of barriers. So that's our kind of our research in PodPlus today. So we need to do something about this, right? If we want to get promoted, there's nothing wrong with getting promoted, but it for very real reasons, it might not be possible for lots of us right now. So what can we do differently? The first thing we need to do is we need to take that motivator and kind of sort of rethink about, well, if a promotion isn't possible right now to give me that thing that I feel is meaningful and motivating for me, then what else can I do? So I thought what we would do is I would share some of the ideas talked about in the podcast, and I can answer any questions you've got on those if it's kind of not clear about how you would do that. And then we'll just put it out to the group to see if you've got any other ideas, like if anything sort of maybe has worked for you. So if you want more money, which is one of the top priorities for people, couple of ideas to sort of unlock that. Don't discount the sideways move. So a lot of the time we make the assumptions that promotions equal more pay, but often sideways moves can also result in more pay. So at the same grade, at the same level, whatever or your organization look like, because it's almost like the making the move that gives you the permission to renegotiate your pay. And so a lot of people just think, I want more money, I've got to go for promotion. Sideways moves can still unlock a conversation about pay. That's happened for me quite a few times. It's happened for Sarah quite a few times. Maybe easier in large organizations. I don't know. I've only done it in large organizations. But I think the point is, don't get fixed in promotions always default to more pay. Sideways moves can also allow you to have that conversation about your remuneration. Also, this is an interesting one, because we did it, side projects. So maybe your company, sort of like you can't unlock more money in your company. What Sarah and I did was obviously we started a side project. Now, we did not start the side project with the intention of making more money, to be honest. We started the side project because we wanted more of the purpose stuff, really. But it did make money. Not loads, but after about a year or 18 months, there was a little pot building up. Now, Sarah and I didn't know what to do with the money, to be honest, because we were like, tax-wise, we don't really know. So we just left it in there, which turned out 6 years later to be a very good idea, because it built up and it gave me the runway to basically leave my corporate career and have a sort of salary for 6 months so I wasn't without any money. So that leaving it there actually helped. But I guess the point is, if you've got a skill that you can commercialize, a side project can be quite a good way to create that little funding pot for you. I'm going to read all your comments in a minute, everyone. I'm just going to kind of put the ideas down. A change in industry. So let's just say your organization can't give you more money, and that's just it, but you are very, very motivated by more money. Some industries do pay more money than other, like, just being honest. I've worked in financial services, tends to pay higher. I've worked in technology, tends to pay higher. I've worked in the oil and gas industry, tends to pay higher. I'm just being honest. Okay, so you might think, I don't want to work in technology. That's fine, but just be aware that the data on salaries is that those industries pay more. So if you are motivated by money, that's absolutely fine, but just know that some industries do pay more than others. And then the other thing that I would say is unlock learning funds. So in lots of companies, learning funds sit in like a different pot. It might not be your manager's pot, or even if it is your manager's pot, it's probably not the same as the salary pot. So if you're trying to negotiate on pay, and that's just not happening, and you're not getting promoted, so you're not getting it that way either, then sometimes unlocking the learning fund can sort of add to your like full remuneration. And also I think like the dividends you get back in terms of your development on learning. Like if you were to say to me, Helen, would you rather have £2,000 on your salary, or would you rather have £2,000 every year for your learning? I'd take the learning, because I know that if that will pay back more in the long term, because I'll be able to get different roles and develop my skills, and so that the payback is more significant. Again, that's a choice, but what my point is, if you're motivated by money, sometimes you can add a bit into your full remuneration by negotiating on the learning part of it. And learning will give you purpose too. Yes, if you are a learner at all, it will. So what else do you think? I'm just going to read your comments. If you want more money, any other ideas? Imagine like you've got a friend who's like, I want to get a promotion so I can get paid more, but no promotions are happening. Is there any other advice you'd give to that person that I have missed? So Catherine says, take it on a second job. Brilliant. No negotiations on pay and public service, only promotion get you more money. Zoom user, sorry, I don't know you. Could the sideways thing work in public service? But money is not everything. So money is not everything, but to some people it's very important, Monica. Like I think it's fine. Like if you are motivated by money, all good. But don't let a promotion mean that you can't get to it. I guess that's the point. I'm not trying to make any of these P's more important than others. It's personal. In HR, we talk about total rewards. So if pay as you drive, maybe think about the other things. Yeah. Better pension, free gym, bonus structure. Yeah. And then sometimes that can feel like a cop-out, can't it? Like, but I just want more money. Like I want a better holiday. So I think that's where the other stuff comes into it. Any other ideas, anybody? Any other ideas? I have negotiated on bonus too before. Like I've done that when pay wasn't possible, I negotiated on bonus. There's has anyone come across that? We might have talked about it ages ago on the podcast, like the salami negotiation tactic. Anyone come across that? I think they taught it to me in sales. It's basically when you kind of salami up your salary, and then you can and then negotiate on each point. So negotiate your learning, negotiate your pension, negotiate on a bonus, negotiate on your base salary. Can you imagine a manager be like, oh my God, when will this salami end? When you pay me more money. I've managed bonus and car allowance changes. But yeah, exactly like Kat say, maybe a car is part of your stuff as well. Okay, let's move on. More power, more status, more influence. Pick the word that matters most to you. This is where Dorota mentioned that I said about the take a stand, the 3 stands. So let's say you can't get promoted at the moment, so you can't get that power that you're looking for. One of the things that I think is you take control of what you can take control of. So I mentioned on the podcast something that I often think through, which is the 3 stands. So first of all, what do you stand for? So what is important to you? What do you want to have more influence over? So for me, democratizing career development and making learning levelless is very important to me. So that's what I stand for. Then think, how do you stand out? So what makes you distinctive and different? So I would probably say my energy. I didn't really used to own that, but now I'm I think it is quite different. And so own the thing that makes you stand out. And then who do you stand with? What are the communities that believe in the same thing as you, that maybe behave in the same way as you, that want the same outcomes that you do? Like spending time with those people can kind of give you more of that sense of influence, because it sort of accelerates your impact. So it's a good way if that is what you want, but you can't get it in this kind of very direct way of getting it through promotion, then it totally is still possible to have more power. But I would say you've got to be clear on what that looks like for you. The 3 stands is quite a useful thing. Can you stand for more than one thing? Yes, you can, but I would almost take that as a different strand. So I would take the first thing that I did here, and then I would almost treat this as like a separate thing, Hannah, just because you might stand with different people for different things. Does that make sense? Like if I was standing for curiosity, something like that, then the people that I stood with in connection to that might be different than democratizing development. That's what I mean by that. The other thing that we talked about here is sort of building your brand. I think that's a big part of this. So stand plus brand. So you want to really think about, are you consistent in all the places that you are, be that LinkedIn or meetings, or like where you're showing up? Like, are you building your brand? Because the more people who see you and associate you with what you want to be known for, the more likelihood that you'll get the chance to kind of get this power that you want and this influence. And then the other thing that we talked about is something called the 4 C's, which is a model that we have. I think it's in Squiggly Career. It's definitely in some of our sessions. So the 4 C's is how you can basically give in order to get. So if you want more power, if you that's what you want to kind of get, you want to get more power, you can gain by giving. Let me explain what the 4 C's are. So what you're trying to do is sort of build more of a community around you, right? So then you've got kind of more power and influence over these people that are around you. The way that you can do that is by giving to those people first, because it generates reciprocity. So the more you give, the more you get. So 4 C's, the first way is by giving, is that you can give by being a consumer. So a session like this, you're consuming it, and then you could give that insight to somebody else, like someone else on LinkedIn, someone else in a team meeting. You could do like a super quick summary of how we can progress if we can't get promoted. That's you consuming something with me, but then giving it to somebody else. So that's a position of power because you're kind of giving that information. And what you can do is you can contribute proactively. So you can, maybe you're like, oh, Helen, I can see that you're trying to have a difficult conversation with a postman. I've done that. I could contribute my experience to you so that you can feel more confident doing it. Again, that's a position of power because you've got some knowledge that I've not. So contributing that, it has influence. You can connect people together. So that's a 3rd C. You can be a connector. So you might be like, oh, I'm going to introduce, you to you because I think that you're doing something similar and you'd really benefit from knowing each other. That's a position of power because you know those people independently and you're the person putting them together. Or you can create a community. So you start something off from scratch, something like PodPlus, for example. That's a position of power that you have created for yourself because you're at the center. It wouldn't happen without you. So often you can create positions of power, and the 4 C's, consume, contribute, connect, and create, is a good way to go. Okay, I'm going to move it on because we've got 4 minutes and I'm always running behind. More people. So the reason you want to get promoted is because more people is the thing that matters to you. Couple of routes here, and I'd be interested in your opinions. This was definitely a motivator for me earlier in my career, until I had more people and I was like, oh, I'm there now. Project management was the way that I originally approached this. So I kept hitting that brick wall of, well, you can't be a people manager because you never manage people. And I was like, well, that's really unhelpful. Give me some people to manage and then I'll have managed people. And so the way I sort of got around that was by project managing, leading larger and larger teams on projects, and then translating those skills that I was developing to sort of the people management roles that I was going for. So that's often a good way of doing that. Team learning. So like leading sort of team learning initiatives for your team. Is a good way of demonstrating some sort of some elements of people management skills. So listening to people, understanding their priorities, proactively creating learning solutions for them. That's often that no one really owns that. So it's quite an ownable space that you can go after. And then also mentoring. Getting involved in inductions, talking to HR about how you could help with some kind of people-based strategy stuff is a good way of demonstrating and developing those skills if that's ultimately your motivation. Karen, I hate that. Oh, I hate that too. It's really frustrating. It's a very frustrating, that whole kind of catch-22 around people management. But I was in that catch-22, and this is all the stuff that I did to unlock it, and it definitely worked. I do remember my first team. I feel so sorry for them because I was so excited to manage people for the first time that they were like total guinea pigs. I was like, I've got all these surveys and assessments, and they must have been like, oh my gosh, who is this super keen person? Catherine, I found chairing an employee network gave me experience to demonstrate people management. Brilliant. I feel sorry for my first team too. I might reconnect with them and just apologise. I am actually still connected to some of those people. I've done well, I mean, and again, all of this stuff, if that is what's meaningful, I'm looking at NLev's comment there. I've done all this, but my organisation doesn't value it. If your motivation is more people and you've done all this stuff and it isn't possible in your organisation, you know, you might want to reconsider being there. And I know that sounds harsh, but if that is what matters to you and you've tried all of those things to do it, then it honestly might be the right thing to move on to somewhere else. Last but not least, more purpose. If you want more purpose, so this is about your kind of, you know, doing more of the work that you love and less the work that you don't. I think communities here are really, really important. Either creating them within your company, that's a good way to get influence, or connecting with them outside of it. That can kind of give you more of that sense of purpose that you need. We talk about problem solving. So if you want to find kind of more of the work that you love, pick up problems. So in your organisation, look for things that are going wrong, and that can sometimes give the opportunity to do stuff that's different to your day job. Most people do not pick up problems, they leave them for someone else to solve. But if you pick up problems, you can, particularly if obviously it's aligned with your strengths and your passions, then you get to do kind of more of what you love, and you're often given the space to do that as well. And then sponsors, spot sponsors. So if you want to do more of the work that you love, basically, look at who might be leading that work and see basically how you can build a relationship with that person. If you can turn someone who's got access and influence in an area that you're interested in into your sponsor, it is much more likely that you will kind of cross that bridge to the type of work that you want to do. We've done podcast episodes on sponsorship. It is often a skill that I think people haven't really thought that much about. So I would definitely recommend, bigger than this, that you kind of think about who could be a sponsor for me and how can I build that relationship with them. It's an accelerant for your development. Sponsors are brill. What a brilliant point to end on, NLev. Okay, so that's it for today. Hopefully it was helpful. I found the podcast because I was looking for something on sponsorship. Oh, I'm glad you found it, Mara. Also, my go-to guru on sponsorship is Sylvia Ann Hewlett. She's the only person that we've done a podcast with who had sunglasses on the entire time. Anyway, she's very, very expert in the area of sponsorship, so I would always recommend her work. If you want a summary of what I've talked about today, it is on the pod sheet. That is on amazingif.com. What are we talking about next week? I don't know. I've recorded it. It's good. I can't remember. We recorded it on Monday. And it's coming out on Tuesday, and we'll all be surprised when we see what it is, because I can't remember what it is. But anyway, I will hopefully see some of you next week. I think we might have Sarah next week as well. So we lose this Sarah because hopefully there's a baby on the way, but I think we gain the other one. So, you know, swings and roundabouts, swings and Sarahs. Anyway, see you all soon.